Hi, my name's Keith Cooper of Northlight Images, and in this video I'm going to have a look at certificates of authenticity, print editioning and various other approaches you might want to consider taking in selling your prints, whether they be photographs or artworks. There's a lot of information on limited editions, and it's something that I'll admit I've been generally skeptical of because I don't tend to have large collections of prints available for sale. I do sell prints. Most of my prints tend to be commercial, but I do have had exhibitions in the past and I've produced short runs of prints, making them available. Now, some of these prints I've got available on the website and they are unlimited editions. You want a print, you let me know what size you want, I'll print it, send it, you can pay for it, and there you go. But somebody suggested to me when I was recently testing the Epson P5300 that why didn't I make some of my prints as limited editions? Well, I've taken this particular one here, and this is a print which you've seen in my videos, you've seen that I use quite often. It is the steps at Wells Cathedral. It's inspired by the picture by F.H. Evans, looking at the steps. I'm standing in the same place, but I'm using a 17mm shift lens rather than the large format camera he was using. It's one of those photos that inspired me to take up architectural photography. Years ago, I was never really sure I would ever actually do it, but I have done, and yeah, I enjoy doing it. But let's go. What about all these various bits and pieces around here? Well, I was talking to Hahnemühle, who gave me this particular paper to test. Now, this is their PhotoRag Metallic. I've done a video looking at this paper, and it is the hardest paper I've ever come across to find images that absolutely work on it. I was very pleased when I decided that this particular view of the steps at Wells Cathedral looks really interesting on it. It might not be my normal choice for this. Indeed, I'd use something like a rag paper, or there's another shot taken at Wells Cathedral in the background here. That's printed on a Baryta style paper. This one, because the paper is relatively dull and you've got the metallic effect, you need an image that works with it. I've got one other image of the reed beds at Snape in Suffolk, which I think really work well on this. And I've got quite a few images that don't work on it. But this one I like. Now, what Hahnemühle, and he supplied me with this, is this, their certificate of authenticity kit. Now, what do you get with it? Well, the key bit, you can see, are these holographic labels. You get them in pairs, they're uniquely numbered. Now, if you want to use these, you'll need to make a certificate of authenticity. Now, in some parts of the world, there may need to be specific information included. Here in the UK, there isn't, so I've created one in Photoshop. This is roughly based on, there's a template available at Hahnemühle's site, but basically, it's a small version of the picture. It's the title, the size of it, and in this instance, it's on 43cm width paper, so it's 43 by 62 on this. Now, this I've labelled as an artist proof because this is one I will pick up and handle you know, normally. The other three prints, which are part of the edition, they've been taken off and they were put, once they're dried, they're layered in archival paper, tissue paper. Take care of stuff like this. Remember that certificates of authenticity, this is as much about your print marketing as it is about your sales. So I've got these three prints out there elsewhere, as they're carefully wrapped away, and I don't pick them up just like this and handle them like this one I would. So this one is the one I've been using for testing. But what do? You get in this kit as well as the little labels, and you stick the label on the back. There's the print. You get some sort of torn or decal-edged paper. I printed this with pigment. I printed this on a Pro 300 using the matte paper setting and using the black and white print mode, and it's printed very well. I've stuck the label here. Now, these little labels, be careful with them, because when you're removing them from a strip, and you get 25 of them in a pack here, now, and I'll come back to the software that's associated with actually registering them and the bit that gives the authenticity bit. But Be careful when you peel these off that you don't damage them, because they are tamper resistant. Given they're stuck to this paper, you need to get them off this and onto your paper, so be very careful when you're handling it. There is my certificate of authenticity for the first of the 3 prints. One other little bit, when you get a box like this, I've written down inside what the range of numbers are on these, and I've also put a note as to which prints I've done, so that's just an extra backup. Now you can go to Hahnemühle, have a website, or part of their website, which is myartregistry.com, and you can go in and you can set up an entry for a picture. You can then also assign certificates to it. So it's a process, dead simple to use. Just make sure you've got a 1000 by 1000 pixel sort of thumbnail of your image. I've watermarked it because I looked on it and everybody else seems to have watermarked their images fairly gently. Just a simple text layer in Photoshop and embossed and then masked so it does a difference. So it just looks like a raised embossed logo on it, or just my name in this instance. So I've got it set up on there. I've registered it. There are 3 copies of this print. Now you have to decide when you're doing editioning like this, what are you going to do? Are you going to sell? Are you going to print them all at once? Now I would suggest that if you're doing an edition of 100, unless you think you're going to sell 100, there's nothing actually very unique about that as an edition. Hence why I decided that I would just do this as an experiment. There are only going to be 3 prints of this on this paper. I'm not going to do any more of them. Well, you say, well, sure, you've got the digital files. You can print any numbers you like. Yes, you do. And that's where it comes down to your integrity. And also, once again, remember, it's part of your marketing as to what you're going to do with it. This is where I printed it. I used the Canon print layout software, printed it from Photoshop. Simple bit of text and a picture, some details on it, all that, and I've got it registered there. So there you go, I've done it. What else might you need? Well, you do have to sign them. Now, it's one of those things that in the past when I've done prints, I've signed them if people wanted. I wasn't doing editioning or anything like that. So make sure you got the right sort of pen to print on this. You need something with pigment ink that won't damage the paper. Now, Hahnemühle gave me a couple of pens to go with this. Well, actually, it's a pen and a pencil. It's a graphite pencil, which you can use on art papers. And it is a black marker, which uses pigment ink and is acid free. So there is a pen that is supposedly good for writing on papers like this, won't cause any damage, is archival, it's pigment based. You can get things like this from many art supply shops and things, so you don't need to necessarily have to use one of this one, but this is just a convenient set that came with this here, the certificates of authenticity. Other things I'd note on it is that the paper, it's a mould made, it's got a distinct watermark, it's got security features in it, it is deckel edged, that's the fancy term for torn. Be careful when you load these sheets into your printer and when they go through it that it doesn't have problems with the slightly skewy edges on it. It's pretty well cut, it went through, it caused no problems printing on the Pro 300. So not only is this printed with archival inks, these are Epson inks, and I've put the inks on here, these are Ultrachrome Pro pigment inks, but this one here, this is printed on Canon Pro 300. Works fine. Much easier actually to print this on there than trying to fire up something bigger, because I've got no border problems or anything on it. So there you have it. It's really very simple to do, but comes down to how you want to handle your print and art marketing. I would suggest that just rushing straight away into saying, right, I'm going to do a limited edition, as I said, of 100 prints of this, is either very confident or very foolish, because you'll end up with a lot of unsold prints. Do you want to do 10? Do you want to do 20? I've quite deliberately picked 3 here just to see. Incidentally, and I would be remiss not to mention this, if you do want to own one of merely I sound like I'm on QVC. If you do want a print this. I'm going to sell these 3 prints, and they are, say, a limited edition. I'm not going to make any more of this size, anything like this. I'm going to sell them at £150 each, plus shipping. So if you want that, email me at Northlight Images. Yeah, I've got a slight bet on with Karen as to whether any of these ever sell. I wish my marketing director of Northlight Images was a bit more confident, but well, that's what her job is. But anyway, I've got 3 of these, strictly limited editions with certificates of authenticity. Now, joking aside, how serious is this going to be part of my business? I don't know. I've never really pushed the print side of the business, mainly because people who buy prints buy local. And I've got loads of videos looking at the business side of photography and that go into whether selling your prints is a good idea, about pricing, about all sorts of different things like that. But this is a very nice, simple system for doing it. The certificate of authenticity looks very authentic. So there we go. We will see. So you can buy these packs. You can use the certificates. You don't have to use Hahnemühle paper. You can use them on whatever you like. So you can use them on other artworks as well. The whole idea is that the system of watermarks, of holographic marks here on the back of the print, just make it more difficult to copy. So there you have it. Think carefully how this might fit into your print sales business. But don't forget, the key is always, when you're wanting to sell prints and things like this, who wants to buy them? Why might they want to buy them? And if nobody ever sees it, you're unlikely ever to sell any. And don't think just putting stuff onto an online website, a gallery website, will actually get you sales. They generally don't. Anyway, hope that's of interest. Please do, if you've got questions, ask away. It's people's questions that give me ideas for stuff like this. And thanks for watching. Cheers. Oh, and please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you.